If you notice that your AC is just not running as cold as it used to, this could be caused by clogged or dirty AC coils. In fact, when they're clogged and dirty like this, your machine doesn't run as efficient and it ends up costing you more money when, well, you're running your AC in the hot summer months. So let me show you the best way to clean that up. The first place to always start before we do any cleaning is to turn the power off to the machine. And many times there'll be a breaker box right next to your AC unit. Just open up the hatch here. Now you'll notice there is a breaker right here with a little handle. Right now, because we can read it in the on position, there is power going to the machine. So all you need to do is just pull this out. It can be a little bit stuck sometimes. Just kind of carefully grab it there. Okay, now we got it out. There is no longer power going to the machine. Now you'll notice on the breaker here, when you can read on, that's on. You can also flip it upside down. We can read off here. So you can put it back in that position if you'd like to. It will snug right in there. What I like to do is just set it on top. That way I don't forget to put it back in and turn it on once everything's nice and clean. Another quick thing to keep in mind is always make sure you close your breaker box door here. We do not want water to get in there during the cleaning process. Now, this home has a very close breaker box to the machine itself. And sometimes when you set this on top like I'd like to, you might be a little bit in the splash zone, so you want to keep that in mind as well. If you think it's going to get wet, just take it away, put it in your pocket or set it in your garage. That way once it's done, it's ready to go back in. The next step is to remove the top on the unit itself here. Now, everyone's is going to be a little bit different in the configuration and how to do this. If you're not quite sure, just give it a quick Google search with your make and model. But mine here, I know there's about 8 or 9 screws around the top. So we're just gonna remove those so we can easily access the inside. Something to keep in mind while you're removing the top here is there are still gonna be wires and things attached to this. So we wanna be very, very careful, it can be a little heavy too, that we don't pinch those in any way because we don't wanna cause damage to them. The other thing to keep in mind as well is we don't wanna damage the fan blades. If you bend these, get them off balance, your machine is going to start making noise after the cleaning. It could just cause other issues with it not being as efficient, and we don't want that. Sometimes if you can't get quite the right angle for the top to stay here, sometimes you can kind of balance it like this. Let's see if I can get it to stay. If you can't get this to happen, you might need to grab a cleaning partner or just hold it yourself while you do the clean because you don't want to cause any damage to this, so be extra careful. Before I start spraying any cleaners on the machine here, what I like to do is just grab a quick shop vac and just suck out all the debris from the inside. Many times, depending on where your machine is located, things like leaves and bark and all sorts of stuff will work its way inside. And it's a good idea to remove this. That way it's not gonna clog up the machine or cause any issues while it's running. Something I might mention throughout this clean a few times, so bear with me, but I just want you to be as safe as possible, is the fins along the coils here are extremely delicate. Just the smallest amount of pressure can cause them to bend or warp, and we don't want that because it could cause damage. So look out for that while you're vacuuming the inside. So now that we got most of the debris out of the inside, if you actually come take a look here, you'll notice down here these little ports. These are drain holes for water to go out of. Now, you'll notice like this one kind of has a bunch of mud and junk in there. Don't worry too much about this. We'll get this all sprayed out really well. But after you're done cleaning, you just want to double check these and make sure that they're open so that the water can easily get out of there so you don't have that building up. Now, as I was kind of removing all that easy dry soil on the top, I just kind of threw it on the ground, not thinking. But something to keep in mind is that any dust or debris that you throw around this machine, it's gonna suck into there and kind of just make it dirty again. So don't do like what I did, pick it up and throw it away. So now that we got all the dry debris out of the inside, it's time to finally clean the coils. Now, what I like to use is this one here from Frost King. It's just a foaming cleaner. It does a really good job and the one that's worked the best for me in the past. Now, I will say there's a ton of them on the market and most times you can find one at a big box store. This one you can find at a lot of those and even on my Amazon storefront. I'll have that link down in the description below. Now, it's pretty easy to use. Just pop the top off and start spraying everything down on the outside. Usually I like to start at the bottom because that's where it's very dirty and just work my way up to the top here, paying special attention to kind of those problem areas where there's a lot of buildup. Now, the nice thing about a foam cleaner like this is that it builds up on the surface and kind of sticks to the actual fins and the coils there, and then it just gives it time to work and break down all of the buildup on the coils there. Some cleaners, they don't foam up as well and they don't work as well just because they can't stick to that surface and do their job. The other nice thing I really like about using an actual cleaner for this that's designed for the job is it has a good straight spray nozzle. That way it can penetrate into those fins and get in all those cracks and crevices, opposed to if you're just using more of a fan spray or just a spray bottle, sometimes it's hard to really penetrate those areas. Now, if you've watched the channel before, you probably already know what I'm gonna say, but dwell time and letting your cleaner work is everything, especially with this job, just because there is a lot of debris and a lot of small little areas there and grooves that it can get into. Actually, if you come real close, you can already see it starting to break down that layer there that was on the top. So it's working. We're gonna let this sit there for anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. Just set a timer on your watch or phone and let the cleaner do the job. You'll notice here, this is a single walled unit. Sometimes you might lift the lid and notice 2 walls of coils there, and that's very normal, just depends on the type that you have for your home. But I will say, you notice we sprayed the cleaner on the outside, but when you have that dual wall there, it's not gonna be able to penetrate to the second one. So sometimes it might be a good idea to spray the inside of that second wall, just the problem areas, to make sure to get it as clean as possible. So my timer just went off, and that means it's time to give everything a real good rinse. Now, there are a few things to keep in mind while you're doing this. First, you want to be as gentle as possible. We don't want to use any sort of high pressure or pressure washers here because, again, that will cause damage to the fins and bend them, and then your machine is just not going to work as well. Now, I will say I like to use just a garden hose with either the fan or shower setting, just something really gentle, not a ton of pressure. The goal here is to more get rid of the soap and the debris, not to just blast it out. I also like to start on the inside and spray towards the outside, because a lot of times with these machines, they suck in air, so most of the debris is on the outside of the machine. So when we spray from inside out, that means we're pushing it out and not pushing it further in, so it's completely removed. Now, this whole process might take a little bit, but again, just go slow. There's no race here. You want to just make sure to rinse it as good as possible, but again, not cause that damage to the fins. Now, I will say this cleaner does say it's no rinse, so if you do leave a little bit behind, it's not the end of the world. I just prefer to rinse everything out the best as I can. That way I'm not gonna leave anything potentially sticky behind that could attract more dirt and just make the whole clean harder next time. Now, quick pro tip while you're rinsing everything, maybe wear some waterproof shoes, because I wore these Vans and I love them, but now my feet are soaking wet. Once you're done rinsing and everything is nice and clean, it's time to put the cover back on. Again, just be mindful of those wires. We don't want them pinching or anything, so make sure they're nice and loose. And then once you get one screw hole kind of lined up, usually all the other ones fall in line. I will say this job usually takes me anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes to do. It just depends on how dirty the machine is. And I do recommend, if you can, to do this at least once a year. That way your machine is going to be running as efficiently as possible. And this kind of depends too on your environment. If you're in an area where the machine is running 24/7 and you have a lot of dust and things, you might want to do it more often. Now, something to keep in mind with this job is this machine does just sit outside, so it's not going to come out perfectly clean every single time. There's going to be some just wear and tear just from it being in the elements. For instance, if you look at the grills here, there's no more debris on them, but you kind of see a little bit of light, kind of almost silver shining through from the black. Most likely what that is just the finish is slowly starting to wear away. When it was dirty, grime was in there, so it made it look completely black. Now it kind of has a little bit of a gray hue. That's totally normal. Don't worry about it. And don't forget, the last step here is to restore power to the machine. And just like that, your AC coils are nice and clean, and most importantly, you'll be saving money now too. Thanks so much for watching as always, and if you're new here, consider subscribing because we are so close to that 1 million mark, and we would love your support to help us get there. I also need to give a huge shout out to the Clean Squad members over on our Patreon. Thank you so much for continuing to support Clean That Up. If you want to join us over there and get things like PDF cleaning guides, your name credited like you see down below, and much more, check the link in the description, and as always, I'll see you on the next clean.